So here's just some more practice with the equations. So on these, I might throw in ones that are not incomplete quadratics, and we'll have to think about the zero product property and factoring to solve them. So we're going to check each one, decide if it's incomplete or not. If it's incomplete, we can use our square root method, right? But otherwise, we're going to have to solve it a different way. So this one is incomplete. I have an x squared and then just a number. So I'm going to divide by 5. And then take a square root. So I get plus or minus 20 breaks up into 4 times 5. So this is plus or minus 2 radical 5. So our answers are negative 2 radical 5 and positive 2 radical 5. Now, the next one is kind of like an imposter because there are just 2 terms. If I solved this for 0, let me just write this out, 35x squared, I'd subtract 50x. That's not incomplete though because the C term, the term without the x, is missing, not the B term. Now, a common mistake on this one that you want to watch out for, people can say, oh, well, I could just divide by x, right? And it kind of seems like it would work. Like if I divided by x on both sides, I would get 35x equals 50. And then I would get this fraction, which is 10 over 7. Now, that looks good, but remember, this original equation is a quadratic, so we need 2 answers. We've basically gotten rid of one by dividing by x. So there is a solving rule that you cannot divide by variables or you will lose answers because you're changing the type of equation. So we are stuck setting it equal to 0, right? I can't take a square root here because that is an x on the 50x. We would factor GCF in this case, take out a 5x. So from this 5x, right, we can set 5x equal to 0 and 7x minus 10 equals 0. So for this one, I'm just going to get an answer of 0, right, when I divide by 5. This one, I'm going to get 10 sevenths. So I did get 10 sevenths the other way, but I lost my answer of 0. Looking at E, this one is an incomplete quadratic. This one actually does factor as well, but honestly, when I can use incomplete quadratic method, I think that it's a little easier. We can divide by 500 here. So this gives me x squared equals 1 over 100 if I reduce that. Taking a square root here, we would get x equals plus or minus the square root of 1 over the square root of 100. So that is plus or minus 1 over 10. Okay, so 1/10, negative 1/10. The next one is also incomplete. So I divide by 2 here, and I'm going to get x squared equals 45. So x equals plus or minus 9 times 5. So we're going to get x equals plus or minus 3 radical 5. The next one is definitely not incomplete, right, because I have the 5x. So I'm going to bring the 5x over. This one I have to set equal to 0. X squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. This is one of our easier trinomials, right? Numbers that add up to negative 5 and multiply to 6. So that's negative 2 and negative 3. So my answers here are 2 and 3. My last one is incomplete. No B term, so I'm going to subtract 16 and divide by 4. But things are already not looking good, right? Because when I take a square root, I know I can't take a square root of a negative. So for now, what we're going to write is, on this one, that there are no real solutions. Okay, and this word real is important because actually in a few days we will have solutions for it. We just have to introduce totally different types of numbers in order to express those.